Hi everybody, welcome to another Chats with Children. I hope you're safe and well. Today I'm delighted to have some people back for a second interview, and I'm joined by my good friends at DECHEMA Exhibitions who are organizing the Achema events. Dr. Bjorn Mathes, who is the member of the executive board and project lead of Achema Pulse, and Andreas Konert, who is the head of business development and sales. And we are going to look back at Achema Pulse and really wrap up the event and get their feedback on how the event's gone. So gentlemen, how are you both, first of all?
Fine, very good. It was a really amazing month, and I think it's really good, and it's good to talk again to you. Yeah.
Fantastic. And how are you, Andreas? You well?
I was still very excited. That was a blast. It was quite a trip starting from November when we announced we move and shifting into digital, and then seeing how everything came to play and how well it resonated with the community. That was just awesome.
Fantastic. All right, so let's talk about it a bit more in depth. We won't go into your backgrounds and everything. We did that last time, and actually I'll put the link to the last interview here so they can see all the things you said before the event and see how much of that came true. So let's start first of all then. So asking you, let's start with you, Bjorn. How has the past month been for you in terms of Achema Pulse?
As Andreas said, it was a blast, and I mean we had over 900 or directly 960 exhibitors, some of them even with more than one virtual booth on the Achema Pulse platform. We had these exhibitors from 38 countries with international share of 55%, so directly a percentage share number which we are used to from our Achema in-person events, where we have 55–56% of the exhibitors from outside of Germany, and the same percentage we found on the visitor side, the attendee side for the platform. As well, 55% of the attendees are from non-German speaking countries, and we have almost 120 countries on the visitor side. And so we really saw in this month that Achema Pulse is the flagship event for the global process industry. It's not a regional virtual event because you can't travel in between Germany, Italy, France, Spain, and so on. It really connected the process industry from California all the way to Asia and Australia, and that's a point where we are really on the one hand thankful that it was accepted so much in the community, and on the other hand we see that all the work of the last 6 months, and it's enormous if you do such a project in just 6 months, and you set up such a high level content event in this short time of period. And so we are really happy what the community achieved together with us as organizer.
Fantastic. And Andreas, you got anything to add to what Bjorn just said?
Yeah, just one number basically to add to this. 7.5 weeks of content was created during Achema Pulse. That's just if you look at the content pieces, be it the live stages, the congress sessions, but most of all, importantly, from the exhibitor side, so much new products, new innovations, having a platform to be published, to have experts on stage talking about this, being open and being approachable. That's really what Achema Pulse made for me, and it's a great opportunity content-wise to build upon, but also was a pretty much an enrichment for everybody who joined this community event to prepare for the next Achema 2022.
Right. Okay. So that's great. So let's talk about the live days. Because you obviously had 2 days, which was specifically live, with lots of live events going on and so on, which was last week. How did that go, and how did the visitor numbers, I suppose, compare to those 2 days compared to sort of the platform in general? Did you get an uptake in terms of visitors and so on coming?
Yeah, I mean the live stage were really the highlight of oh not the live stage, the live days, sorry, were really the highlight of Achema Pulse and this Pulse month. And of course we saw a strong increase in attendee numbers on the days before the live days. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it in our last interview, but I'm sure because this was from the beginning on our thought. I mentioned it in several other interviews. I always said Achema Pulse will be much more content driven than an in-person trade show. And
sure.
Content driven with like talks, interviews, product pitches, and so on and so on. And this we saw with Andreas 7.5 weeks. If you want to watch every presentation, we always put it down in hours. So we had, including the interactive workshops, which were not recorded and are not available on demand afterwards. We had over 460 hours of content. And of course, this was a main driver in communication and marketing strategy to really pull people on the platform. But
right.
of course, we saw this, but we saw already a strong acceptance of Pulse from the beginning of June, when all the exhibitor profiles and the product profiles. I mean, we have thousands of products, of new products, product launches on the Achema Pulse platform, and we saw already in the beginning of June that the most of the people onboarded to the platform made them well familiar with the platform, connected with exhibitors, really made their schedule for the live days. But on the other side, we see even after the live days, and this was the strategic move already from the beginning of Achema Pulse, that Pulse isn't over with the live days. So we recorded all the live content, and it was available on demand almost 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours afterwards. And it's on the platform till the end of Achema Pulse. So we see even after the live days ongoing new registrations on the platform.
That's great. Andreas, anything to add to that?
Nothing, just there was so much energy in the room that just needed a focal point. Of the live days pretty much nailed it. Those days are pretty intense. We had 200 workshops that are only live, and we have all these messages coming in. There's like 60,000 chat messages moving back and forth, video calls going on. So those days are pretty intense. So you need a build up, but you also need a follow up. So we were pretty happy with the decision to spread over 1 month and really get the community together for this social event online. Yeah.
Cool. And I'll start with you this time though, Andreas, but are there any particular highlights that have come out over the last month or so and out the live days for you? I mean, is anything sort of really stood out for you that you thought that was fantastic and I didn't expect to be so good? I mean, I know you were hoping everything was going to be fantastic, but, you know, obviously in reality, things don't always work out how you plan. So how you know, looking back at the last month and particularly live days, anything stand out for you?
Well, I'm going to highlight the live demos that we had live on stage. So moving back to the live stages, we really had TV studios going on. It was professional moderators, top notch from the industry, really facilitating great discussions with everybody contributing. But to actually get hardware presentations and demos working on stage and getting that into the camera as we speak live. That was a huge challenge that's unseen, I believe, in process industry that has been done before. This is something to be particularly proud of. We're talking about the smart lab initiatives, or talking about the 5G demos that we had, both cases and technologies that will be very present in AchemaPulse 22, and people got a sneak peek.
Yeah, well, I know speaking to people like Siemens and others leading up to the show, they were very excited about the sort of live channels that you had running and the studios that had set up to do their presentations and so on. So it's good to hear they were well received. And what about you, Bjorn? Anything stood out for you?
I mean, that's a perfect point you just mentioned, Ruslan. That of course we as an organizer talk often about the 3 life stages we were setting up with the program there in Frankfurt, but really have a look on what the exhibitors made out of Achema Pulse. They made Achema Pulse their very own project, and the exhibitors, the community really performed very, very good. And you just mentioned just one exhibitors. We had so many, and decided to present all their products in such a professional way. Some of them pre-recorded it to do it in a plant or with high level executive, which are sometimes not available in these two days because they have scheduled board or strategy meetings or whatever. Sure. So they decided it's so important for us to discuss with them during Achema Pulse, though we pre-recorded in the days before. And so for me personally, I really was overwhelmed by all the talks, the content which was provided by the exhibitors, and in average the level of content distribution from the exhibitors. This was just great, and to be honest, when we started with the project beginning of the year, we haven't expected such a very, very good and highly diverse outcome.
Well, that leads very nicely to my next question, actually. You just mentioned you started the project at the beginning of the year. So looking back then, what learnings have you taken from this whole exercise, both in terms of having a platform available for a month and also then having this live segment, if you like, for 2 days in the middle of it as well? So what learnings have each of you taken out of that, which you will mostly apply for going forward? Who'd like to start? Andreas, do you want to start that one?
Yeah, it's actually a bit early for this question, to be honest, because as we're speaking, the participant surveys are rolling out. We got great feedback, rich feedback from all of the participants. We solicited over 10% respondents. It was great. We're exchanging. We're going to start the dialogue with the exhibitors on how to wrap up and what precisely are the lessons learned. I think the key takeaways are everybody is happy that Achema Pulse happened. There's probably a lot of learnings that we're going to take from it and what to apply for next Achema Pulse, which is probably going to be 100% digital again in 2023, but also how to adapt the digital capabilities that we have developed to a perfectly live setting on Achema 22. And let's be honest, the main feedback we're getting is that everybody's really looking forward to Achema 22. Being back in person, being live on stage, being back in the Frankfurt Fairgrounds, shaking hands with people, engaging in dialogue, showing the technology, touching, feeling, sensing, smelling, you know, the trade show feeling. That's what everybody misses. We sense a little digital fatigue, and we're actually right now gearing up to bring Achema 22 back with power and vengeance.
Right. Okay. And what about you, Bjorn? Are you gonna toe the party line and say, look, Andrea said it's too early to give any feedback in terms of your learnings from the event?
Andreas is totally right. Of course, we saw some things in yes, some work processes which in our organization might not really fit to a digital event, because I mean we have a long-standing history. Our organization is organizing Achema since more than 100 years. Of course, none of us is doing this since 100 years, but the whole organization grew together with Achema and in-person trade shows for a century. And now we came up with the digital event, and of course not only not all workflows are really really fit perfectly to the digital. We see as well that customer expectation in a digital format is completely different, and we all know what to expect from an in-person trade show and how it works, but there isn't any kind of blueprint how to do digital events. And we, from the first minute on, said it's not, AchemaPulse is not a real digital online trade show. It's not just, we can't happen in person, though we just do it in a virtual format. No, it's different, and we still stick to the approach that we did it different, and not that, okay, we can't be there in Frankfurt, so we open up a portal for 5 days and that's it. No, we said we do it for 1 month. We have this 2 days of live days we just discussed, and but we were more or less the first doing this approach. So of course it's a kind of education.
Sure.
We have a lot of learnings, as well as the exhibitors had learnings. Some of them exhibited in virtual trade shows, digital events, congresses, and so on, several times in the last year. For some, it was the first experience with a digital platform. So it's the feedback we just get is as well diverse, because the experience and the expectations are so different on customer side as well as on the attendee side. And we will definitely sit down. We will do our homework after Pulse, and we will go ahead with the planning for April 2022 for our in-person event, and we will make the best and the most out of it. And we will definitely add some digital solutions to the in-person trade show experience, which is very important. I always was a friend, and I always talked about the multi-sensory experience of trade shows. And I know some people were laughing about this multi-sensory, how it's sensory. Yeah, there's a guy, he's talking about touching technology and the personal feeling. Digital transformation is coming. But what we really saw in the last 1.5 years, that especially in our industry with this capital intensive industrial goods sector, that you need the personal experience and the personal exchange on a trade show or some other formats, but at least they should be in person. And we will attach the best of the digital world to the in-person trade show event, and of course the in-person event in Frankfurt will be still the main event, and it will be in the main focus. And I don't know if you noted it, Rizwan, that's why we just last week signed a new contract with.
I did. I saw
the
LinkedIn post that you're there for the next 10 years. Is that right?
Yeah, till the end of this decade. So we decided to extend the contract. We are then 1937 on the Frankfurt Fairgrounds, and so we extended it till 2027 now, because that's really where we see the focus, but the future will be hybrid.
Perfect. Well, that leads on very nicely, because these segues are fantastic, Bjorn, the way you're setting me up for the next question. So it's really good. So looking ahead now in terms of next year and Achema 2022 and the live event, and you've already touched on some of it already. So how, I know you've been in the throes of Achema Pulse and obviously getting all that done, but I know also that you were planning ahead for 22 and the live event anyway, and obviously circumstances change things around. So where are you in terms of planning for 2022? What are some of the things that people can, and I know it's still early days, but you obviously are planning, so what are some of the things that you think will be some of the things you're developing for 2022? And I suppose the other thing I would say is, you mentioned hybrid, so how far, what I was trying to think was, is pharma, how important is pharma to you in terms of Achema going forward as well? Because obviously that's the area that is my sweet spot in terms of people I talk to. So how important is pharma for Achema as well?
And Andy, you would like to start?
So let me start with the basics, and you can focus on pharma, because that's indeed a very important aspect of Achema, and it's growing fast and developing beautifully. So what's new for 2022? And of course, we're really far advanced, because from a trade show perspective, it was not full stop, but in November we were pretty well prepared for 2021 having a trade show. So just to remind people of what we're aiming for, and that is still to be expected of us in 2022, and is more relevant than ever. There's going to be a whole new exhibition group called the Digital Hub that's going to actually tackle the challenge of digital transformation and make it tangible to the process industry audiences. We're going to have two new zones, highly integrated, one focusing on circular innovation and the other one on startups, specifically geared at process industry, but also the suppliers of process industry. So great things can be expected from those. If something we've learned from the last couple of months is that the three focal topics that we focused on for 2022 are spot on and very well suited, and actually more relevant than ever. Just to remind everybody, we're talking about the digital lab, the lab of the future. Look at the use cases we have on Achema Pulse. This is going to be a great issue. We have modular production coming up, so how to integrate more flexible production systems, something that's been in manufacturing for quite some more time, and adapt that to process industry, even pharma. Pharma 4.0, big issue, big topic, sure. And we've seen major organizations like OPC and Ethernet APL taking large stands, but also NAMU, MTP, all of them consider Achema Pulse as the central stage for this in Achema 2022. So that's a focal topic for anybody in the automation community, and pulling the strings and taking the decisions in chemistry and pharma. And last but not least, we've seen how sensitive infrastructure can be under attack. So product and process security as the third major topic that we're focusing on, more relevant than ever and very well prepared for 2022.
Fantastic. So yeah. Bjorn, do you want to talk a little bit more, adding on to what Andreas said, and talk about pharma maybe?
Yeah, pharma is a very important industry for Achema. I mean, we have an exhibition group with the pharma packaging and storage techniques, which brings all together, where Achema is very strong. We have the main exhibitors there from the pharma machinery and equipment sector, as well as all the industry which is acting in the pharma packaging. And when you really want to see a packaging line for pharma industry, you should be at Achema. You shouldn't miss 4th to 8th of April next year in Frankfurt. And what Andreas said, it's a big success story. Pharma has always been an integral part of Achema, but the last decade was a really success. We had growth numbers of 20 to 30% from Achema to the next one, so from 12 to 15, 15 to 18. So the exhibition group for the pharma industry grew a lot, and it was always situated in Hall 3, and we extended to a forum and Hall 1.1 to extend the exhibition size. And I can announce that the pharma group is already booked on the same level as 2018. Even in times of Corona and COVID, it was a group where we had only a few numbers of exhibitors withdrawing from Achema after the COVID pandemic started. And it's not only this exhibition groups where we have this strong growth numbers. It's all over the fairgrounds. I mean, we have important exhibitors for the pharma industry in our exhibition group engineering, where it's about biopharma and production plants and so on. We have it in the automation sector. You already mentioned Siemens, which is very strong in pharma, and with their help, only the BioNTech plant in Marburg was able to produce so fast. But we have it as well in the laboratory and analytical sector, in the thermal processes or mechanical processes, where a lot of companies have a splitted product portfolio and have a 30 or 40% of their portfolio directly dedicated to the pharma industry. So pharma is not outstanding at Achema. It's an integral part, pharma industry as well as the chemical industry, but as well as the food processing industry really belongs to Achema and is very, very important for us. And everyone out there working in pharma industry, being a pharma engineer, should be at the next Achema.
Well, that's a great way to finish. So one final question before my final question, which is, there is only, I always have to add one more, but in terms of, I mean, obviously, if you look at exhibitions and COVID and everything, the events industry has been obviously impacted and things have had to move and move and move. And even this year, there are a lot of live events which were planned for, another event, which I know a big one in Germany was planned in November, has already been cancelled because of what's going on. So from your point of view, how confident and comfortable are you that Achema will go ahead in April 2022?
We are really confident. I mean, since today, we have a new, in Germany, Corona-Schutzverordnung,
Right.
for our regional state in Frankfurt active, and trade shows are allowed since today. They were forbidden for the last month due to Corona and the high infection numbers. But now even in Frankfurt they are allowed. They are allowed in a lot of other regional states in Germany since the beginning of the month. And we have a very good health and safety concept in place. And of course, we can be pretty sure, and that's how we as organizers plan. Achema 2022 might not have the same numbers as Achema 2018. So we still don't know some areas in the world how they are going forward with vaccination. Is COVID contained in these areas? Might there be some travel restrictions? But as we see it right now and break it down on the Achema visitors, where are the visitors located? So of course we have almost 50% from Germany, but all around Europe we have 75%. Then we have the countries from Asia, which are very important for us, and where we see we have a good vaccination rate, at least in the sector from age 30 to 50, and which are related to business travel and so on, and they're really looking forward to travel to Germany. And we have all the policies taking in place that they are allowed to travel to Germany. We of course will have a concept available which makes it safe and sound on the fairground. So you need right now we are planning that you need a negative test, or that you need to show your vaccination, and together with, I mean, I could talk the next 15-20 minutes about health and safety concept.
Sure.
We are constantly adapting to the needs. But what we see right now is that this concept, together with a personalized ticketing, so that in any case we have the contact numbers of the participants. We are on a very good basis, and that's the feedback as well from our exhibitors. I mean, right now we have more than 2,400 exhibitors for Achema 2022 in our books, and seeing that Achema is 9 months ahead, that's a typical number for a trade show, for our trade show.
Sure.
during that time. And so we are really looking forward to April, and we are sure that Achema will take place.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to answer that, though, Bjorn, because obviously it's a question that a lot of people, both exhibitors and visitors, will be thinking about trying to plan ahead. And I get asked all the time by exhibitors, what do I think about shows going to happen, and are they still going to be live, particularly this year, but also into 2022? So I appreciate, and I know it's a very difficult situation for all organizers, because a lot of the factors are out of your hands as well, in terms of vaccination rates and variants and so on. So I thank, and government policy as well. So thank you for answering that in such depth.
I think Andreas wants to add something.
Yeah, even though my kids just busted in, apologies.
No, that's cool.
I do want to raise one other issue, which I guess is often overlooked out of modesty, but I think we should, as process industry and life sciences, we should really make it a point to come to Achema and celebrate what we've achieved. Because really looking at COVID and our response as a society to how we reacted to this, if it wouldn't have been for those people coming to the Achema events, there wouldn't have been disinfectant available on short notice. There wouldn't have been plastic screens all over the place. There wouldn't have been face masks. There wouldn't have been vaccinations and in that large number of actually manufactured and distributed onto the market. And I think this is something we highlighted also for AchemaPulse, but really, since we're hopefully on the finishing line of the pandemic, having a live event, we should make it a point to come back and discuss on how that's impacted us, what we learned from it, and also to celebrate a bit.
Fantastic. Well, that's a good way to finish. So, well, my last question then, and I promised you this is the very last question. We are recording this before England play Germany, and I couldn't miss this opportunity to ask two Germans their predictions for the England-Germany game, because we're going to put this out live after the game. So come on, gentlemen, what's your predictions for England versus Germany? I'll give you mine once you've given me yours. So, Andreas, you can start. What's your predictions?
I think it's going to be an intense game. A great opportunity at Wembley Stadium. That's going to be fantastic. I think we're going to see lots of goals on both sides. Of course, I'm betting on a German victory in Wembley. So I'm betting on 3-0, not 3-0, but 3-2 Germany over England. All
right, Bjorn.
Of course, Germany wins. I can't say something different, and I'm sure it will be a very intense game. But at the end, Germany is winning in penalty shooting. Yeah?
All right. Well, I'm going to go for 1-0 for England, actually, because that's what they've been doing all through the tournament. So I think Germany struggled to break down defenses. So I think 1-0 to England. Actually, the German team now finds it difficult. England is set up perfectly to play Germany, so hopefully be 1-0 to England. So anyway, gentlemen, as always, we could talk for hours, and we almost literally did. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me today. I'm glad the event went really well. And genuinely, it's been a pleasure working with you over the past month as well. So I wish you lots of success in terms of Achema 22 as well, and hopefully we can work together on that as well. So congratulations on that. And Andreas, you're going off on holiday, so have a lovely holiday, actually. And Bjorn, I'm sure you'll have a break at some point, so we'll catch up soon, hopefully. And maybe once you've had your wrap up in terms of learnings, I would love to get your feedback in terms of what you've learned putting on a digital event, because I'm sure other people will be quite interested to know what your learnings were from that sort of stuff as well. So thank you very much for sharing your time. And until next time, this is going, unfortunately, AchemaPulse will be finished, but there will be details on Achema 22 above the video, so you can find out more about the plans for Achema 22 and start registering for that already. So I remembered to plug there. So there you go. We can do that. And apart from that, to say, lovely, good luck with the rest of the year. I hope you have a wonderful summer as well. And I hope everyone who's watched this has found that interesting. I certainly have. There's lots of great things to learn out of AchemaPulse and what's going on in terms of the events and Achema going forward in 2022. So hopefully I will see you there live next year. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you at AchemaPulse.